Okay, for those that are listening to the recording, we are officially here for Seven Figure Notary Business Funding Strategy free webinar, right? We have two amazing notaries here who have leveraged other people's money. We have a tax attorney. I'm tax attorney. I'm not an attorney. I am a tax accountant. Sorry, the other A. That's kind of funny. I never really say that. And so with that being said, we are here with one of our guests, right? So tell us a little bit about who you are, Miss Tabitha.
Okay, so my name is Tahitha Thomas, of course. I am a 100% disabled veteran. I served 10 years in the Navy. I worked for the federal government on the civil servant side another 9.5 years. I got into this notary space about 3 years ago, working for the state. I talked to another mobile notary and she schooled me on how to get into this space. And I started the business, still working my full-time job. Last year in May, when COVID hit Texas, 2 weeks before that, I actually resigned from that job and went full-time with my notary business. I started learning business credit about a year ago. After my first full year, well, my first 9 months working full-time in the business, I learned some things at tax time that made me want to learn more about business credit. So I learned what I learned, and I was able to get a vehicle this year in my business name, 100%.
Did you guys just hear that, right? We have Maryland in the house. We have a lot of Maryland in the house. We have Indiana in the house. We have California in the house. We have Georgia in the house. We have a lot of people in the house. But I wanted to come and collaborate with Miss Tabitha because I wanted to show you another notary who has scaled the business of using other people's money, right? And so with that being said, I just want to go into what we're going to talk about in the presentation before we start asking Ms. Tabitha a little bit more questions to dive a little bit deeper where she currently is and where she actually kind of started this journey, because she is the story of a lot of you individuals coming in, listening, but really don't know the way, right? So in this slide, this is the outline. We're going to talk about how to get business credit, how to obtain business credit lines, business auto loans, how to obtain a little bit of grants. We're going to talk about funding in your business credit, and we're going to talk about what that means to like filing, right? When it comes to these gas cards that I get, how does it affect my taxes, right? That's when I'm going to dive deeper and release Miss Tabitha, okay? So with that being said, let's ask a couple questions, Miss Tabitha. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect. So one of the things is, does she look amazing in her picture on the screen? I love the picture on the screen. It's so great. But yeah, so with that being said, I want to talk a little bit about how did you even come across business credit? Like, you being a notary, you have been a notary for several years now, right? Mm-hmm. And what was the concept of like, how did you learn about business credit and how did you know it was real and it was for you as a notary?
Right. So when I first started my business, 2019, I started with Quill and I did one order Uline. Still not really knowing about business credit per se, but I'm like, okay, well, I need, paper for my business. I need supplies. And I had already spent so much money to start the business using my money. Still at that time in 2019, I still didn't know about business credit. It wasn't until the pandemic happened and when they started offering the EIDL loans, I got denied for the EIDL loan based on credit. So I said, okay. So I got in some Facebook groups and I learned that you can get business credit without using your social because I am in a bankruptcy. So my credit is really bad, which is why I did not get the EIDL loan. My score wasn't even 570. But anywho, so I started researching, got into the groups, got a lot of information from the groups I was in. And I started implementing what people were saying they were doing. And when it was working, I was like, so this does work. And it wasn't until I filed my taxes for last year, I'm thinking, as a notary and I'm using my personal vehicle for business use, I can write off everything associated with this vehicle. to only find out by my CPA, like, no, you can't do that unless the vehicle is in your business name. If you use it for personal and business, you can't totally write off everything. I'm like, okay, so I need to get a car in my business name then, is what you're saying, to be able to do that. She said, yes. Okay, roger that. So that's what I did. I dug deeper into getting accounts without using my social. I followed every step that I was given, and it actually worked. Purchased a car, flat out, business name only, and was approved within like 5.5 months of actually building the business credit. And I didn't have that many accounts when I started the process. I only had like 4.
So, hold it. You just dropped a lot of gems. Let's bag up a little bit. So, just like any notary, you get into the industry, we're mobile notaries. We think automatically, hey, maybe I can write off my personal vehicle. Maybe I can, write off my mileage, right? I can do a lot because I have a business. But the CPA told you when you filed, no, that's maybe not the case.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
That vehicle is your personal vehicle, and you're trying to use it for business use. So you really personally maybe can't write that off because it's not in your business. It's not registered as a business vehicle with the DMV and with the loan, the loan where the lease is and the lender. So that was a little bit too techy, right? So you're just like, okay, well, doing your process, I'm not interested in touching my personal social security number. So is there even this way that I can get a business vehicle in my business name without personal guaranteeing it, without using my social? It gotta be a way. So you went on this journey for the next 6 to 12 months trying to figure out how can you make it possible, right? Because you wasn't going to be in this tax situation like you was in 2020, right? Filing. So by May, it sounds like you was able to tap into it. You started to build what you kind of known that was a little bit possible, getting different gas cards, notary supplies, and then you actually added. So why was this so important after that? Like, why was it so important to tackle? Because with life, we go up and down, right? We hear that it's real, but sometimes this thing that seems so amazing may not just be amazing for us, maybe other people. So how did you just stick with it? Why? Like, how did you do it?
So when I saw that it was starting to work without me using my social, I'm like, okay, so this can really be done. I'm transparent with my situation. A lot of people aren't. And so they get discouraged because, I got bad credit. I just started this business. I'm not making any money. So they want to give up. I was at that point 3 years ago where I wanted to give up as well. I'm like, I don't know if I could do this. It took 2 months to get assignment, but when I saw the process working, I figured if I can just go through it, I can help somebody else do the same thing. Because there's other people out there with bad credit. They might not want to say it, but they out there. So
tell you, I love your transparency. And when we first met, you were so transparent with your story. And I just had to. I gravitated to you because of your personal story, right? Not only were you a notary, not only did we share serving in the military, not only did we just both kind of in the lines of taxation and accounting, right? But the fact of the matter, you tell the truth, right? Your story you put out is that, hey, I was one of those, the worst of the worst that happened to me. It did. But I was so interested that I had nothing to lose, but everything to gain, right?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. So you told us a little bit about a couple accounts. You said you started with Quill. I think a lot of people that has been following my mission to really help notaries understand this, like leveraging your business to get the most out of it, right? So you got Quill, and then you got about 5 different accounts. How did you know it was going to work when you just went to the dealership and was just like, I got my vehicle? Like, how did you know it was going to work?
I actually didn't, because I didn't have the number of accounts that in tier 3, tier 4, tier 5, they say you need to even get approved for a vehicle. But I had been in business for 2 years, 2 years at that point, exactly 2 years. The income, the revenue from my business, I felt was enough to be double, what I wanted for a vehicle. So I knew the bank statements would show okay, she can afford the vehicle. But my drawback was, will this really work without me having to use my social, being that I don't have 10 or 14 accounts established already on the business credit side. So one thing with business credit is not like personal credit. Like you can go and get all these inquiries that can hurt your score. That's not the case with business credit. You can apply for something 50 times and it won't matter. Like your score is not going to change. So once I learned that, I'm like, okay, well, they say no, then I'll just wait another month and I'll do it again. You know, I'll try to get some more accounts. If I need more accounts to establish before I get approved, then I know that. Because I knew the revenue was there. It was just a matter of, is my credit profile strong enough to get approved this early? Or will I have to wait?
Wow. And the interesting thing is the approval is not based off of revenue, right? The approval is not, it's not based off of revenue. It's about, do you have your structure right?
Yes.
If they can find you, if they can vet you through and you look like a real business, you are a real business, it's not based off of revenue. Because when you go through the process, they're not asking you to provide bank statements. They're not asking you to provide W-2s and stuff. They're not. Not the way that Miss Renee teach it, right? So I guess my question to you is, I mean, just to see if you're willing to share, right? What type of vehicle do you have?
So I bought a 2021 Toyota Highlander XSE, which is fully loaded. It was $46,200, I believe.
Wow. And I remember you shared, you said you have how much in business credit? Lines of credit? What's the total?
About $86,000 with the vehicle.
Wow. So you have about 40 something without the business, and well, with the business, but just with credit lines of all the trade lines you have. And then you add another 46 of, I drove off the lot, didn't use my personal credit, because in your story, which is so touching, you couldn't. You had no choice that you couldn't. So why not try, right? So let's talk about this structure. Why is structure so important to have and do it the right way? Instead of just jumping out there, oh, I heard Miss Renee say Quill, so I'm writing down Quill, and I'm just going to go and apply. What are some of the experience or the failures that you actually kind of learned, which starting off the right way and doing business credit?
So structuring is extremely important, because if everything doesn't line up across the board, they actually go check. The vendors go check and look up your information. If they can't find it, or something is off from what you put on your application, you're going to get denied. I had to learn that the hard way. Granger was another account when I first started outside of Quill and Uline I tried to get, and they denied me because my business information was not verifiable. 2019, I had no idea what that was about. It wasn't until last year when I started researching and I took another course that, you know, really stressed having your business structured the right way across the board, including NAICS code, SIC codes, your email, everything. I had the Gmail account, email when I first started. You know, I thought I was doing something. Yeah.
So you went in, you had your personal address attached, you had the @Gmail attached, you had the wrong Nexus code. People probably like, what the heck is a Nexus code, right? Don't worry, you guys. We're going to go all into that, you know? So we're just trying to give out her, highlighting her story. She was just a notary, trying to understand how this loan signing works. But then she realized, I need a vehicle, and I know it's a tax deduction. So how do I get this vehicle? Because my CPA just ruined me, right? In year one. I'm not about to get ruined in year two. She's a soldier, right? She said, if I'm going to figure it out, I'm going to make sure I figure it out. And she did. You guys, I think this is a wonderful story to just highlight another notary doing it using other people's money, right? And the sky is the limit, 86,000. So I'm going to let Miss Tahitha leave, because I wanted you to kind of get a little bit of her. So on February the 4th and the 11th, we're going to come together and teach a course together. So I'm going to give you enough to get started, right? But you're going to see her again, really fleshing out her story, okay? So guess what? She has an event to go to. It's her daughter's birthday. And she came online to come tell her story with us when she's in the middle of a birthday party and speaking engagement. So give her some love, you guys. I really appreciate the fact that she spent the Saturday with us while she's with her family, right? She's so dedicated to the cause. So if you have any last words, Ms. Tahitha, feel free to tell us what part of this presentation you would tell them to keep an eye on and make sure they write notes, because Miss Renee is about to go through it and give them so much.
Definitely the structuring. It has to be correct. Like, I cannot state enough how important that is to get any type of business credit account that's going to be of value, especially the vehicle. Everything has to line up. Get you a professional email. She's going to tell you all about that. That's important. It's also important to make sure DMV has all of your information correct, because they will verify, especially when you want a vehicle. Allie is going to verify your information about your business. So just make sure it's right.
All right. Well, until next time, Ms. Tahitha, we really appreciate you and we salute you and thank you so much for your service.
You're welcome. Bye, everybody.
All right, you guys, how many people are ready to go? Because I'm about to hit some PowerPoints, okay? We got about 30 to get through, okay? All right, excellent. Put a 5 in the chat if you're ready to learn how to kind of start the process. Okay, so this webinar is not for you if you are trying to get rich, if you're trying to do the shortcuts, if you're expecting to fall from the money to fall from the sky. This PowerPoint is for only people that are kind of interested in getting other people money and no PG. Disclaimer, I am not an attorney, so this information is only educational purposes only, okay? So business credit 101, how to get business credit with your EIN. This is not linked to your Social Security number. So if you have currently right now, you have your business name attached to your Social Security number, go ahead and put a 6 in the chat. If you have an EIN number that is not associated with your Social Security number, put a 7 in the chat, okay? Just want to test it out. All right, so what is business credit? Business credit is obtained with your business name. With business credit is built with other people money. It's through a credit score that is a rating, just like your personal credit score, they have a business credit score, okay? So it's not something that is going to ever be attached to yours unless you want to personally attach it, okay? In some cases, you can have your social attached to your business, meaning you're the grantor for any loans or any vehicles you get. If you want that way, you can build it faster, but Ms. Renee teach it where you don't have to attach, okay? So business credit is credit in another business name, okay? So let's talk about this. This is a picture that's really important, okay? Easier to grow a business. High success business is in America. So the people that are very successful, they are learning this. They have learned it. They were able to buy a building on business credit, right? They were able to get multiple vehicle cars, write them off through depreciation. So with that being said, I'm glad that you're here and you're listening to this information. If it's not applicable to you, pass it along to someone else that it may be applicable, or hold on to it when you're ready. How to build business credit. How do you build business credit? That is the ultimate goal of what we're trying to do. All right. Make sure your business is set up correctly. So what does that really mean? Let's start. How many people have a business telephone number? That is not their personal telephone number. So in other words, my area code, my personal area code starts with a 901. But My business area code start with a 213. How many people have a specific business telephone number that rings and you can answer? Put an 8 in the chat. How many people that don't? Put a 9 in the chat if you don't. That is one of the credible sources where it's going to stop you. So how do you get one? Go to Freedom Voice. How do you get one? Go to Dialpad. How do you get one? Go to iPlum. These are different ways that you can pay monthly under $10 for a business number that is creditable, okay? That's a really great question. Google Voice, I personally would not go with it, right? Because everything that is free is not always the best thing, right? So Google Voice, has other people built business credit on Google Voice? Possible, but I don't want you to have any roadblocks. And I have heard of many roadblocks, meaning getting business Google Voice bypassed through List Yourself, which is 411. 411 right now, to my understanding, may or may not accept your Google Voice number, okay? And because of that, I know people saying, well, greetings. I don't like the Google Voice greeting, such as a Google subscriber, and some people know how to turn it off. Okay, that's great. But I just don't want you to start this entire process with the possibility of it may or may not work. Because I promise you, people come to me, ask me, can I fix what they did, right? And I just don't want to have to go back and fix everything that what your number was listed on. So let's start off the right way, okay? I personally, so these telephone numbers that I'm telling you about, these sources, which is iPlum, Dialpad, Freedom Voice, they all are extension to your personal phone. So Miss Renee do not like having two phones. I barely can handle one phone. So when it comes to charging, my phone dies 9 times out of 10, okay? If you ever talk to me, 1 minute I'm talking to you, next minute my phone died, right? So I'm not a fan of holding two phones. Some people are. I'm just not. So I find ways that you can only pay additional less than $10 to have an extra phone on you, okay? Not an extra phone, but just be able to distinguish when someone calls you, is that a business call before you answer, or is that a personal? And these platforms are able to do that for you, okay? All right, this is iPlum. This is my favorite, okay? Freedom Voice used to be my favorite, but as you do more things, you start to know which one are your new favorite. All right. If you want the promo code, I can give you the promo code for that to make it a little bit discount off. All right, next. What is the next step? We talked about EIN, but let's flush that out, okay? Business credit legitimacy. You need an EIN number, okay, you guys? That's what you need, okay? And with that being said, you need to establish that. So if you are currently a DBA, I would not recommend you start this process with a DBA, okay? Starting this process with the DBA, you will hit roadblocks. If you know somebody that did it and they received a lot of credit line, that's great. But the way that I'm going to get you and try to get you to, you will get some roadblocks. Let's just say that, okay? So what is the best ways? Becoming an LLC, becoming a C Corp. These are different ways that it's best to build business credit the right way. All right, so what is the process? All right, so a little bit about the process is, have you thought about, depending on what state you're in, getting your business license from a county level? So you have your articles of incorporation, right? From the Secretary of State level, depending on what county you're in, a business license. Then you obtain an EIN number. How many people got a business bank account? Because when you build business credit, we're no longer doing commingling. Commingling is not ideal, okay? So how many people right now, put a 1 in the chat, if you are currently commingling your notary revenue? In other words, you have not officially went to a bank, set up a business bank account that says your business name on it. Put a 1 in the chat. It's not about telling on yourself. It's about how can I better help you, okay? Now, how many people, and I know a lot of notaries, okay? I know a lot of notaries do this, okay? They don't have official email. You're like, what do you mean by that? I'm going to push this a little bit, okay? That means you don't have an email that is professional. Professional does not mean California Notary Agency at gmail.com. Professional mean info@californianotaryagency.com. Actually using that domain, okay? Once you have that, you are a legitimate business in the eyes of these trade line. Okay. So let's continue. So let's dive a little bit deeper. I talked about it, but let's walk through some scenarios. So do it always have to be info, Miss Renee? Or can it be hello, president, webmaster, admin, your name? Yes, it can be any of the above, right? But I prefer info, okay? Because info just looks much professional, okay? There's things such as alias. And if you have any of my courses, I teach you how to tap into alias, meaning you can have 30 different emails with Google, right? That goes to the same inbox. So it really doesn't matter what your preference is. We can always make one for you. All right. So when you buy your hosting, right, saying, hey, I want Google to be my hosting agent for me to receive emails, then you pay maybe, I don't know, $6 a month, right, for them to be your hosting to host where you put that domain, okay, for email purposes. So never freebies are good. So back in the day, Hotmail allowed you to register your domain with them and they give you a free server. So if you was grandfathered into that, great job. You don't have to pay. But if you wasn't, you got to pay. So what I mean by that is the ones that I do not want to see is the ones at the bottom, right? Which is at yahoo.com, at hotmail.com, at gmail.com. That is not a professional email, even though if you tapped into it personally being your business email. All right, excellent. How many people currently right now has that? Put a 2 in the chat. If you have a at Yahoo, at Gmail, or at AOL, or at hotmail.com, that's one of the things that I highly recommend you start with, that being legitimate, okay? That's going to stop you from moving forward. Is it a cost? Yes. So what do I currently do? That's my main email that I use with all my signing service. There's a thing called forward. You can take the email that you currently have, you can forward it to the new email. So anyone that ever had access to the pre-existing email, it'll just bounce to the new email automatically. So you don't have to worry about losing whatever you had because it's not going to be lost. It's just going to be bypassed, passed through to the new one, okay? And that's free. That's not an additional charge. All right, let's move forward. All right. So how many people have a website? Put a 3 in the chat if you have a website currently right now. A website meaning your domain name.com, not a landing page, right? And I mean a landing page, not Google My Business and they gave you your business name, business.sites, not that, an actual website that you can go through. Can you opt to having that be it? If you know how, yes. So if you follow me, I'd speak about, if you want a free website, just go buy a domain for $12 through Google, right? And then Google will be the service provider for a free website called Google Sites. Okay. So the cost for monthly maintenance on your website is no longer a cost. That's a notary gem that I just dropped right now. So you don't have to pay Wix $30 a month to have. If you're paying that, I recommend you contact me on a discovery call and figure out how we can clone that website that you currently have and no longer pay. Because I don't believe in, if you're trying to build business credit and you only have a certain budget, for you to continue to pay pull off. I'd rather recycle the funds that you're paying for a website and then start paying for supplies in your business that you need. Because building business credit is not cheap. It can be pricey. All right. So enough said about that. You need a professional website. On your professional website, it needs to be your telephone number, your address, how they plan to get in contact with you. All of these things will need to match up. Your business listing congruency. So remember when Ms. Tabula talked about how she tried to apply to some of these accounts such as Sam's to get that MasterCard where she can go pay for a plane ticket or something. She couldn't get. She couldn't get because in the beginning, because she didn't have congruency, okay? Meaning when she go on her website, when she go to her Google listing, her Yahoo listing, her Secretary of State, her county business license, does everybody have the same telephone number, the same address, the same website, the same email? If anywhere on these platforms that talks about your business need to be across the board correct. So if necessarily you don't have that, it's your special day. If you started an LLC and you put your home address, which is error number one, you need a virtual address, right? You have to go back and clean up some stuff. So I'm going to bring you in with a student of mine, right? Who's going to talk about over the last 7 months what she's been doing to clean up all of her mess before she was even able to build. That's going to be a free webinar on Wednesday, okay? A free webinar on Wednesday at 5:30 Pacific Standard Time, which is 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. So I'll end up sending on the next email that goes out, the link for you to join that one, okay? To overcome how to clean up the mess that you got before you start to build. So what is your business credit score? So there's many different credit scores. There's Dun & Bradstreet, just like your TransUnion. Let's just replace TransUnion with Dun & Bradstreet or Paydex, okay? Concept when it comes to Minto. Now we have Experience and Equifax, okay? For credit reporting agents. So let's talk about them. So Dun & Bradstreet is one of the agencies that you can get a free DUNS number. Pretty much starting off your business credit, okay? How many people in this webinar heard of Dun & Bradstreet or have an account? Go ahead and put a number 4 in the chat. Okay. How many people applied for Dun & Bradstreet when they didn't have a virtual address? Put a 5 in the chat if that's you. Okay. How many people are going to be joining that free webinar on Wednesday at 5:30 Pacific Standard Time? Because any of the 5s, I should be able to see you in the free webinar because there's a lot of cleanup that we have to do, okay? So the question is, should I apply to Dun & Bradstreet right now. If you have a virtual address, if you have a professional email, if you have a website, if you have a business number, yes. If none of those four are correct, no. Because the moment you start putting things out, that's as more harder that myself or yourself have to clean it up. Disputes, okay? And the process can take some time. So what is the next one? You can apply to these. Once you have it done, then it registered to all of the other bureaus. These are just the three main ones. You have other ones, okay? Hidden ones that are business bureaus, but they're not the top three, okay? So experience, how do you get that? You can pull your report. You can go on Experience website and find your business portfolio and see what they have on you. I highly recommend everyone to do that, right? Go, it's free, not to pull a report, but it's free to find your company on Experience. Experience Business, you can literally use their search engine, find your company. If your company pops up multiple times, red flag. If your company pops up, let's just say with the wrong address, then your virtual, red flag. So how do I get out of it? Join the webinar on Wednesday and we'll kind of tell you the process. Do I recommend using a PO box when it comes to virtual address? No. So if you're using iPostal, red flag, no. You have to look like a legitimate business. So a legitimate business, if they can pull that address up on Google Maps and it doesn't look like a commercial building, if it doesn't have rental space, if it doesn't have a receptionist to call, then it's not the best virtual address to use for business credit. So how much does a virtual address cost? It's a monthly expense. It is, but it's possible. Okay, let's go to next slide. So right now, what type of accounts do you recommend? So some of the accounts that I currently recommend are, I'll give you three. Because you joined this webinar, I'll give you three. And these are three that you may have heard of. Everybody use them, okay? But I'm going to tell you a little bit about them, okay? So guess what? Building business credit is not about getting accounts in trade line. It's about where and who are they reporting to. So right now, Dun & Bradstreet's and Experience is where Uline report to. They don't report to Equifax. Okay. It's a 30, net 30. How many people know what net 30 is? Go ahead and put a 6 in the chat if you have no idea what a net 30 is. Okay, well, it sounds like everybody is up to speed. So don't have to talk about that. Excellent. So you go to Uline, all right, and you make an account online, or you can call them and make an account. You ask for net 30 terms, okay? Somebody put a 6 in the chat. So net 30 is when you have 30 days to pay, okay? So 30 days to pay. So are you saying that they will mail the stuff to you first before you even put a dime on it? Yes. They will give you credit now and hope for you to pay in 30 days. Okay, excellent. So now you're going to call them to apply, or you're going to go on the website and register business and call them to pay for your first order. So what can I buy on Uline? Uline is an industrial company. So they have like things in big bulks, right? So the question is, can I buy home stuff for my business on business credit? Yes, you can. Where do we work? in our home office. Do you need things to wipe off your desk to clean? Yes. So these are some of the things that you can do. So if you have a monthly budget that what you spend at Target, Walmart, and things like that, it's best to kind of see what you can buy through these trade lines to not spend more, but spend the same amount, but spread it through to these trade lines. So Uline sends me catalog, and I did not register for anything. They're great at marketing, but when you do get that catalog, it tells you all the things you can buy. So you can buy an office chair, you can buy an office desk, you can buy boxes for your business. One of the things that I have purchased is a shredder for my business from Uline. You can buy some different things that you want, cleaning supplies, but remember they come in bulks. So if you think that you can hold on to it for 6 months to a year, go ahead and buy it, okay? But you only have to buy one thing from Uline, to be honest, once a year, not multiple. They typically report the first time. All right, which is the next one? Quill.com, okay? Quill.com is what she spoke about earlier, right? She started her business credit journey through Quill. So Quill, a lot of people don't know, is the sister company to Staples, okay? So whatever Staple has, you can price match with them and buy from Quill. This website is at the bottom of the screen, okay? So how do you apply? Do the same thing. Call online, or you're going to apply online. I mean, not call online, call on the phone or apply online to set up an account. So depending on where you go, this is what it is, okay? There's two different methods, depending on if you do this the right way and depending on how your business is currently set up. Quill is going to tell you two things. One, you apply. You're just in their system. Now you got to ask for credit line, okay? Line of credit. I recommend you pick up the phone and call. That's what I recommend, okay? You pick up the phone, you call, you know exactly what you want. You tell them the order number and you see if they push it through. If they do not push it through, then they're going to ask you to pay for something on your card for 1 or 2 purchases before they give you a net 30, okay? That's one way, right? That's not the good way. The best way is you call, you put the order through, and then they say, we'll see if you get your credit line in the next couple of days. And if that's the case, your order is going to be at your home by the time that they come back to you, be like, oh, I guess it worked, right? So it's two of those different scenarios. Right now, because of COVID and everybody trying to opt into business credit, these are the two scenarios that's going on with Quill, okay? Yes, you can also purchase gift cards with Quill, okay? Absolutely, and use them for other things. All right. Oh, lastly, paper, $29, cases of paper. I tell people all the time, purchase your paper through Quill. Do you need to purchase multiple times through Quill to get business credit? Once they give you net 30 terms, you pay once or twice, depending on what type of offer they give you. And they report to the Dun & Bradstreet literally every Monday, okay? So it's going to report after you pay for it, okay? After net 30. So who do they report to? Only Dun & Bradstreet. They do not reply to Experience. They do not report to Equifax. All right, so what's the next one? Granger. Why is Miss Renee going over Granger? Well, Miss Renee is going over Granger because it's important for you to have, right? But if you do it the right way, you will get accepted. If you do it the wrong way, maybe you have a little bit of a hard time. So here's the phone number. So one of the things is with Granger, you go on the website, you apply, right? Then you can follow up on the phone a couple next days and say, hey, I want next 30 terms within 72 hours. They'll grant it to you. You'll get an email. They only report to Dun & Bradstreet. The net terms, if you're good with them, they're just like an industry leader, just like you are. But they have a few other things that I like. They give you net 30, 45, 60, or 90, depending on how frequently you order. Well, with Grainger, I like buying those home office calendars, the ones that are rippable and it has the whole 30 days on it. That's what I personally like, right? So can you buy that from Grainger? Yes. What else did I buy? I bought a dustpan. Why? Because I needed a standing dustpan. But can I buy that on business credit? Are we ever in our home office? We're often in our home office, very much so. And because we're in our home office very much so, a lot of the times, it's very important for you to get the things that you need to, okay? So just go start looking. Do they give you a catalog with Quill? No, they don't give you a catalog, okay? So I do apologize for that. So now that we went over the 3, are we done yet? No, we're not done yet. We're about 50% into the presentation. So what's next? Well, I'm going to talk about in the next couple how it ties into tax, okay? And preparing, because that's where we want to stay focused, okay? So with that being said, this right here, how to maximize your travel benefits in your notary business. How many people know that business card like Wax, BP is a MasterCard, right? These are just a couple that I'm throwing at you. But if you have a Wax MasterCard, you can go purchase your hotel expenses when you're traveling to a conference. And if you go into the Ultimate Notary Conference, you can use a gas card to pay for that travel. How many people knew that? Put a 7 in the chat. How many people knew that BP is a MasterCard and you can purchase other than gas on that? How many people have gas card? Put a 9 in the chat if you already have a gas card. Put a 1 in the chat if you want a gas card. All right. So I highly recommend that you follow the previous process for you to benefit into a gas card, okay? Because gas card is tier 2. There's many tiers to this business. There's tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. It goes all the way up. So how do you know what tiers you're going? Well, Miss Renee give you a whole entire list of all the different tiers, right? And tell you which one to follow. You can't get a gas card by bypassing not going to these different other accounts. So gas card is in tier 2. So you have to do tier 1. In order for you to do tier 1, you have to make sure your business is set up correctly, okay? So I want to show you the beginning of where I want to take you to where the end, where it's beneficial, okay? So how many people heard that? That was a little bit deep. Put a 2 in the chat if you really heard what I said. I want to start from the beginning, right? To show you where I want to take you. This is where I want to take you, to a commercial vehicle. I don't want you to try to purchase a house, but then they see you have $20,000 on your debt. So they put your debt to income ratio to 20,000 because you still got 20,000 on your vehicle, but you're trying to purchase a house or another investment property. Let's move that $20,000 that's going to be in our personal name and shift it to our business name, right? And therefore, now our debt to income ratio is much lower because we just got rid of $20,000 of debt, right? All right, that they cannot see. All right, that's the ultimate goal, to at least make some room and then benefit from right now the depreciation, which is what we're going to go over. that Trump allowed, the 6,000 pound rule. Okay. So how do I get a vehicle? All right. So first step is 10 to 14 trade lines. If your business is below 2 years in business. So I just gave you 3, right? Now you got to be able to get the rest. Okay. You have to have an 80 paydex score. What is an 80 paydex score? You get 80 by just having 3 trade lines tapping into Dun & Bradstreet. So if you follow the 3 that I just gave you, automatically at 80. Have entire establishment of your corporation. So if they go on your Secretary of State and they search your name, you pop up and it says that it's active. Have at least 2 years in business to get a vehicle. Can you get a business vehicle if you're less than 2 years? Absolutely, you can. But you just have to have the 2 to 14. Okay. So what if I have 2 years already? You can probably get a business vehicle in 4 months, right? If you follow the recipe that I just gave you, right? So I'm saying where you don't have to personal guarantee it. Can you go get a business vehicle and personal guarantee it? Yes, you can, without any of these steps, but I don't recommend it. Okay. So you can apply it in person or you can apply online. Ally Financial is what she used. Okay. Which is the creditor. In most cases, no documents or income verification is needed. So you don't have to show much of nothing, but just a 1-page application, okay? Usually, no need to provide proof of insurance, driver license. You need to provide at least that, okay? They just don't want to give you a car and you don't have a driver license. All right. If PG is used, you will not report to your personal accounts, okay? So what type of vehicle can I purchase? These entities are what we recommend. Going to the Mercedes, going to Ford, going to Ally, going to Toyota or GM, okay? They typically work with us, business owners. So how does this relate to taxes? How many people heard of Section 179 deduction? How many people heard of that? Put it 3 in the chat. So what that means is you can write off anything. Anything. How do people go get a yacht and write it off being a real estate agent? How many people write off their food? They're traveling. You'd be like, you know that was a business expense, but you saw them at a Ram Stadium. You can write that off, okay? As long as you're doing business. So the sky is the limit, right? Yes, it is. Through Section Code 179. But what is the trick, Renee? People have abused this, okay? Because of that. It has to be necessary for your business in order for you to claim it. So if you can prove that some of these things are necessary, then the IRS can say, okay, we can do that if they ever audit you. So how is a yacht necessary? Well, depending on your profession, if you do home walkthroughs and you meet your clients and you deal with high-end clients, maybe a yacht for the industry that you work for is needed, right? If you need a vehicle, a commercial vehicle, right, for your notary business, if it's necessary, you can definitely write it off, right? All right. So that ties into depreciation, okay? So let's go back. Section Code 179 deduction means that you can write off computer, assets, certain business expenses to be deducted from your business, okay? Now, let's go to the left. Depreciation. Buildings, machinery, vehicle, furniture, HVAC, all of these different things have a useful life. What do I mean by a useful life? Go ahead and put a 4 in the chat if you understand what I mean by the useful life. These are accounting terminologies in taxation code. Like, for example, a car, useful life in the eyes of the IRS, 7 years. Okay. So you can depreciate that by 7 years. So the average car is worth what? About $30,000. Would you say that? Put a 5 in the chat if you think an average car is worth $30,000 when you drive it brand new off the lot. So if it's $30,000, right? Divide that by 7. You can depreciate that, which is about $4,285 off of $30,000 that you can add to your depreciation of your write-off of your vehicle. That's what you can do, long as your vehicle is in your personal name, in your business name, 9 times out of 10. But guess what Trump was able to do? He was able to cut that useful life in half if you get a business vehicle, right? And it doesn't really need to be totally business, but it has to be business and personal, meaning you use your social security number and it's registering your business. It's called bonus appreciation. So what that means is if your vehicle is over 6,000 pounds, okay, you're able to write it off at 100%. So you're saying that 30,000 that I just purchased a vehicle on, I can write it off 100%. That's going to really lower my debt to income ratio. I'm not going to pay much in 15.3% of self-employment tax. Yep, that's a strategy. But what if it's less than 3,000 pounds? You still are going to be able to write it off within 3 to 4 years versus 7 years because it works both ways. And you can write it off in a more faster way, between 25% more than you were able to do prior with the current standards. So the regular depreciation is regular standard. The bonus depreciation is what I just talked about. It only lasts until about 2023. So I believe midway through 2023, the bonus depreciation. Okay. So let's continue. So one of the comments is, choose the type of business entity is probably not on the top of your list, right? And because it's not on the top of your list, right? It all starts there, okay? Making sure you choose getting away from a DBA, getting yourself into a business entity, right? And then going from there. That's where it starts. So let's just kind of make sure we go over it a little bit. Bonus depreciation doesn't just start with a vehicle. It starts with real estate investment too. Can everybody read at the bottom what it says? Bonus depreciation. If you obtain a business or property and place it in service after September 27 until January of 2023, your bonus depreciation percentage will increase. Okay? So we start with section 179, we go in depreciation, and then we tap into bonus depreciation. I hope that I was able to explain that in the most possible way of watering it down. So what type of entities are there? There's DBAs, there's LLCs, there's corporation, and the last one is a tax status, okay? So these are different ways that you can build business credit from, but not the ones on the end, okay? So does bookkeeping really matter? Yes, because bonus depreciation is part of taxation. You can't get to taxation without doing bookkeeping. Do everyone see the full circle of how all of this works? Business credit is just an expense to write off, okay? Put a 7 in the chat if you understand how taxation is part of business credit. If you understand the full circle, put a 7 in the chat. That lets me understand if you're following. All right, let's move. So next we have, do what you want with your money before the IRS do. If the IRS is going to take money from you, Uncle Sam, why do that? Why not maximize your benefit? Why not get the things in your business that you need instead of paying the IRS? That's a powerful question. So why was it called 7-figure notary business strategies? Because 7-figure people are using it. They're tapping into business credit to get out of the tax liability they are. Why can't we do it in a 6-figure company? Right? That's the whole point. That's the mental behind it. So it's the mind shift. If you're going from how can I get a refund to how can I protect my assets, that's where you should be and pay less in taxes. You should not be expecting a refund. You should not be paying money already to the IRS, right? You should be more shipping to how can I pay less in taxes, being a business owner, okay? Keeping your money and deferring it. So if you want more information, go ahead and book a discovery call with me. You can find me through all of these different ways, okay? So if you like what you heard, we have the Ultimate Notary Conference that we're going to have business credit experts come in and teach us more about business credit, okay? At the Ultimate Notary Conference, even accountants. If you're interested in the Notary Business Credit Masterclass, that's going to be February the 4th and the 11th, if those dates work for you, go ahead and register at lu.ma Notary Credit, okay? I'm going to give you the offer. The offer that I'm providing, which is the promotion code, is 30% off, okay? So if you use December 30th, you'll be able to get 30% off. I'll put that in the chat. If you want to learn more, go ahead and put this promo code in the chat and you go to this link, okay? And you'll be able to learn more. It's only up for a short amount of time. Next, we have the notary business taxation. That same promo code works. But where you have to go for this promo code, the best link for taxation is this. It's actually lu.ma and Notary Tax. You can use the same promo code now to learn more about taxation, okay? So Notary Tax Masterclass with me and my partner, Miss Camille, will be talking about that. All right, that is all, you guys. And I will stop the recording to now dive a little bit deeper into Q&A.